You want to start a business, but you have no business degree, you've never done this before, and you're a complete beginner. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly what I know on how to start a solo business from scratch. Whether you have no business degree, you have no experience running or doing a business, or you're just a complete beginner who's trying to figure out what side hustle you can actually start as a solo business owner. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Gloria, and let's get to it. So if you're looking to start a solo business from scratch, this is the basic understanding you're supposed to have. You need to know what is the market gap that is existing. And if you're wondering what a gap is, essentially is the problem that someone is facing and the solution they're actually looking for. So the period of time it takes them for them to move from the problem to the solution, that gap is where you are going to come in with your idea of how you can actually solve that problem. So if you want to start a business, you really need to understand where is the gap and why does that gap exist, and most importantly, do you actually have the skill set that is going to fill that gap? Since we've already talked about the gap, the first step of starting a solo business from scratch is to understand your ideal clients. This is your ideal market segment, and essentially this is going to be the group of people or the market segment that you are going to serve with your solution. Now, there are three things that you need to pay attention when you are finding your ideal audience. And the first thing, you have to decide what is going to be your unique selling point or your unique value proposition, because essentially everything has been done under the sun. So you really need to understand what makes you unique, what makes your solution different, and how you are going to stand out. The second thing that's going to go in here is going to be the ability of your market segment to actually pay up or get to the level of payment that you require them to pay you for your set of skills, your product, or even the services you're going to offer. So payment capability of the market segment you select is going to be very, very essential, because you need to make money. You're starting a business. And then the third thing is the demand, understanding the demand and the supply that is actually existing in that market segment or in that industry that you have selected to actually solve problems for. Because here's the thing, if the supply is high and the demand is low, then it's going to be very, very easy for you as a beginner to penetrate that market. But if the supply is high and the demand is meeting the same level of supply, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to actually penetrate into that market. You need to understand what is the scale of the supply and the demand that is actually there, and the supply that is actually being supplied to that particular industry. Step 2, when starting a solo business from scratch, is you need to understand how to position yourself online so that you stand out. Now, before I even jump into giving you the tips, I need you guys to understand this one important point. When you're actually building a business and you're leveraging the online space or the digital space, the cost to actually establish a business is minimum, because it's either you are paying up for just a website and then the rest of the marketing you can do it for free, or you are just using 0 shillings. You're just creating content and people are buying from what you're actually selling. So the cost of you establishing a business using digital media is kind of free. It's kind of free, but essentially you're going to pay with your time. Now, the first thing that is going to make you stand out is going to be your story. People love a good come up story, guys. People love to be diving into your story time and diving into how you became the person you become. So you need to make sure that a unique selling point you're using when you're establishing yourself as a business or as a solopreneur is going to be your story. Where did you come from? How did you find your problems? What are your quirks? What makes you different? What makes you unique? And you need to lean into your story, because that is what is going to make you stand out. Because in this age of AI, where AI is becoming very, very competent in taking over our way of doing things, the one thing that makes you stand out is being human. And what other way to make you look human than to actually have a story? And then the second thing that is going to help you position yourself and stand out online is going to be your process or your way of doing things. Now, a lot of us usually wonder what makes us unique, but in essence, when you actually look at where you came from and how you're doing the things you're doing now, there is experiences, there is a background, there's a way you are brought up that actually influences how you think, how you make decisions, or the step-by-step process you actually take on to complete a specific thing. What actually makes you do the things you do the way you do them. And then the third thing that is going to be very essential when it comes to positioning yourself as an authority in your space, especially online, is going to be your journey. People love to be involved every step of the way. So if you're coming up with a product, involve people from the behind the scenes. Show them how you moved from product inception to product testing to product launching to now you having an online store if you're building a website. Show them how you acquired a domain name, how you registered the domain name, how you acquired a web designer or a web developer to actually build your website for you. Show them how you launched your social media website. Involve people in your journey and they are going to be loyal, because this is how you build trust. If people can see the step by step, the transparency, and you taking them on your journey, they're more likely to trust you. The next step is now coming up with simple systems that are going to make you efficient, especially in terms of project delivery and ensuring that you actually serve the clients and the customers that you're going to get. Now, when you are a solo business owner, you actually do not have a team. So you need to heavily rely on tools and softwares that are going to help you deliver. Now, the first software you need to pay attention to are going to be project management tools, because you need to be on top of all the projects that have been assigned to you, because remember, people are paying you to actually deliver something. It could be a product, it could be a service, or it could also be a consultation. So you need to ensure that you're on top of the project, you're communicating as much as possible, and the client can also be able to review the progress of that project. And that will heavily require project management tools. Now, there are a ton out there, but I am going to recommend ClickUp. I also did a video talking about ClickUp, which I am going to include up here. If you haven't watched that video, make sure to watch it. I'm going to include it up here, and I'm also going to include it in the video description, because I wouldn't want to waste any more time reiterating what I already said in that particular video. So the next system that you need to pay attention to is going to be a CRM, or a client relationship management system. Now, essentially what this tool is supposed to do, it's supposed to help you stay on top of your clients. That means how you acquire clients, how you take them through the project delivery phase, how you offboard clients, as well as staying on top of how many clients you're actually serving in your business, because you would want to have a way of getting in touch with them just in case you come up with a second addition to whatever you've already served them and you honestly believe it could be beneficial to them. And then the other thing is you need to come up with a sales and marketing strategy. That means you need to have tools that are going to actually help you come up with those strategies. Now, there are a number of tools out here. Honestly, I cannot mention all of them. However, if you'd like me to do a video talking about these specific tools that I'm actually recommending to you guys to have, make sure to let me know in the comment section. And while you're down there, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, because it does help support my channel and I would be really grateful. So the next step when you are establishing your solo business is coming up with your marketing campaign, as well as figuring out how you are going to ensure that people know you exist and start recognizing your brand. Now, because you're doing this digitally, I actually mean you need to come up with a social media marketing strategy, because essentially you are going to be using social media as well as every other platform like email marketing as well as websites to ensure that you attract and you serve clients. The first step in this particular process is you need to figure out what is your marketing campaign going to look like. Is it for brand awareness? Is it for brand establishment? Or is it for it to make sales? You need to ensure that you pick one marketing goal so that you can actually build a strategy that aligns with exactly what you want. Here is where you're going to utilize the rule of one, where you do one thing to solve one problem to achieve one solution. But the second point that is going to come on here is you need to figure out which platform, one specific platform that you are going to be using in order for you to market yourself. Because here's the thing, social media is hard. Not everyone is comfortable talking to a camera. I mean, guys, I'm talking to a literal camera. Yes, you're seeing this video, but I am talking to a camera. It's not normal, but I have to do it because this is part of my marketing strategy, which is brand awareness. I have to ensure that I create content for YouTube because I want you guys to know I exist. I have your solutions and I'm going to help you figure out how you're going to position yourself better online. Just a recap. Pick one platform, master how you're going to actually build your relevance on that platform, and then the third thing, build your personal brand on that particular platform. And then the third thing that goes in here is you need to establish your content design as well as your content development process, because you need to stay consistent. And of course, creating content is not the easiest job on the planet. If you feel like you need help in doing exactly that, make sure to let me know in the comment section, and I am going to do a video for you guys just to show you how to actually come up with a content plan, content design, as well as create content for any social media platform of your choice. Now, once you already have a marketing campaign, the next thing is to understand what product you're actually going to bring into the market that you have selected to actually serve. Now, the first thing is going to be you need to come up with an MVP, which specifically stands for a minimum viable product, which is going to be the first phase or the first test product that you're going to push to the market to test whether the market actually has demand for what you want to bring or not. Then the second thing is you need to figure out how you are going to penetrate the market and have people actually adopt your product. So you need to find your early adopters. Your early adopters can either be people you're serving for free, it could be people who are testing out your product, or it could be people who are actually buying your product but at a throwaway price. Because essentially what you need to do is to get people to engage with your product so that they can give you feedback and they can be able to help you make your product better. And that is only going to happen if you actually have your first case or your first set of users who have essentially interacted with your product and your solution and are willing to actually give you feedback so that you can improve and change and make the product better. And then the third step is going to figure out your pricing and figure out how you're going to build a portfolio. Because once you serve each and every individual who's going to be your early adopter, that is going to be proof of concept. And with digital media, social proof is going to sell you much more than anything else. If people have already adopted, if people have already used your product, if people are recommending you and telling about your product to other people and marketing you and doing all these things, becoming your advocates, especially with social media, you are going to be making bank because people trust people. If someone has already used your product and they have been satisfied, then someone else is more likely to buy your product. Now that is it for this particular video. I'm hoping that you guys found it helpful. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you feel like there's something in this particular video that I haven't mentioned or covered that you want me to cover, feel free to let me know in the comment section. But otherwise, that is it for me. I did do a video talking about how to streamline your client process. I am going to link this video right here, and I am definitely going to see you in that particular video.